Hello everybody, welcome back to my lair for more TTBurger game reviews, for some more Halloween games all throughout the October to celebrate the Halloween spirit. And I am Tony, bringing you more game reviews, and this is episode 151, part 1 of 1. Now I know the last single part review was on a positive game, and this one is on another positive game here and stuff as well. But the thing is, this is an exception because it's Halloween, so there's gonna be some Halloween special Halloween games all month long, so that's why I'm doing this here. Now, throughout all month long, so starting at the end of September, I showed you guys a bunch of Halloween themed games, horror themed games, so that leading from games like Blood Rain, Medieval, and Clock Tower, Haunting Ground, and stuff. And it amazes me that on how many of these games that are out there on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2. And it amazes me to say that there's a ton of them. Today we have some big to talk about here, because for today's episode we got a very rare game here that we're going to talk about. A game that is so rare that it goes for outrageous prices on Amazon and eBay. If you were to buy this game today, you'd be spending over $600 and stuff on this game. Maybe less or more, depending on it and stuff. And this game is a very, very hard game to find. It came out around the time when the PlayStation 2 was at the end of its lifespan, right around the same year the PlayStation 3 was out to be released. And it showed there too. In fact, this game stirred up some controversy too, that it was banned in certain countries like the United Kingdom and stuff, because of certain things I'll talk about later on. And I feel like since it's Halloween, it's the perfect time to talk about this game. Now, you're probably thinking what game am I talking about here? Well, I got it right here. I got you all Rule of Rose, for the exclusive to the PlayStation 2, released in the year 2006. About a couple months in North America before the PlayStation 3 was out there. This game was developed by Punchline and published by Sonic Entertainment and Atlas USA and 505 Games. And let's talk about it. Let's get started. Now, Rule of Rose is definitely a great game to have in your collection of horror games, survival horror games, Halloween themed games, stuff, whatever you want to call it. That's basically what the game is there, and it basically is. It's not only a survival horror game and stuff. It's also an emotional horror game. Now, I probably wouldn't know what I mean by emotional horror game. Emotional horror is where the character goes through some very traumatic events to the point where you almost feel the pain of what that character goes through. Like, there's one scene in this game that is so, just don't spoil here, it's so emotional and heartbreaking that it can actually make you cry and stuff. Because it had this, I'm not going to tell you what the scene is and stuff, but you'll have to see it yourself. But this game is definitely a worthy game to have. And yeah, let's get started here. The game is pretty much like, the story is basically memory based and stuff like that. It's basically like from what director Shuji Ishikawa was said, that it's basically an interactive movie with the narrative and stuff. And the narrative basically talks about the traumatic childhood memories of an ordinary vulnerable girl named Jennifer. And this game takes place in 1930, set in England. And it basically starts off with Jennifer, now 19 years old, is led to an abandoned orphanage by some mysterious boy, who she follows to a graveyard and digs up a coffin with a bloody sack inside, and four of the children sneak up on her, shoving her into a coffin, and then she's awakened in this a bit large abandoned airship where its destination it's unknown. It's ruled by a bunch of mean group of young girls known as the Red Canyon aristocrats, and Jennifer must do their bidding by bringing them gifts, stuff like a blue butterfly or so like that. And assisting Jennifer is a dog named Brown, who was found captive on the airship, tied up and blindfolded. And Brown is like your partner, kind of similar to like Haunting Ground, where Fiona's partner was the dog Huey, who she helped and stuff. And it basically goes with what Jennifer went through, because Jennifer had a really traumatic childhood and stuff, and it centers around that there. There's more to the story, but I can't really say much more of it, because the game is It's big. I mean, like, it's got a very deep story to where if I keep talking about it, I'll spoil the game for everybody, and I don't want to spoil the game because the game definitely has its moments there, and it's worth it definitely. So let's say it there. Story is very deep. It's very emotional, and it definitely fits that horror theme to it. Survival horror, emotional horror. It definitely fits all that stuff, and it's definitely worth having having there in a game like this. And yeah, especially because it takes place in the 1930s as well, mainly all throughout the year 1930. It's definitely Lee worthy of all that stuff, definitely. But now let's get back on track here. The game's graphics here, this is definitely one of the best looking PlayStation 2 games. And it was a late PlayStation 2 game, like I said, right around before the PlayStation 3 was supposed to be released in North America. So that showed you that the PlayStation 2 still had power to like make good graphics and stuff. And this game definitely looks fantastic. Like, you got some very detailed looking character models and detailed looking environment, and the CG cutscenes are some of the best I've ever seen in a PlayStation 2 game. And it amazed me that they were able to take advantage of the PlayStation 2's hardware and make the game this fantastic with a very smooth frame rate as well. Sure, it's not the smoothest frame rate. Like, it's not like gonna be at 60 frames per second. It's gonna be like at around 30 frames or 50 frames or so, whatever you perceive it to be. But it's still definitely worth it there. But I will admit, my main complaint about the graphics, and this is a big complaint here, but it's not going to be big, but it's my main complaint, I mean. The lighting in the game is really, really dark. It can be really dark at certain parts, and since Jennifer doesn't carry a flashlight with her or anything, you're stuck wandering around in the dark trying to find where to go. And if you don't have a map, you're basically fucked because getting lost in the dark on this big airship or getting lost in the orphanage or whatever is a pain in the neck, and just it's gonna make you begging for a flashlight and screaming for to find the map and stuff. And that's basically what it is. Like, without the map, you're gonna be fucked. And the map is like, it's not that hard to find the maps, but still, it's just the problem. The lighting could have been better. And especially playing this on a flat screen TV with the brightness up all the way, it helps a little bit, but not much. And just that this is one of those games where you gotta play it on a standard television, or else you play it on a flat screen, it can be hard to see unless you mess around with your brightness or so. And I hate messing around with the brightness on my television because I like keeping the brightness the way it is, and how with like the factory settings of the brightness, and I don't like doing that. I mean, like here, like using my capture device here, the brightness was a little bit better. I turned it up all the way and I was able to make it look a little bit better, but still, some of the rooms are just way too dark, and just, yeah. But for sound, let's talk about the sound here. There's not that much to say about the sound here, something like the voice setting and the music and such, but like the voice acting is good, but I wish there was more voice acting there and stuff. Like, for a game from 2006, you'd think a game like this would have more voice acting in it, but there really isn't as much voice acting as like other games like Haunting Ground and Clock Tower 3 or Silent Hill 3 and Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Veronica X and stuff. I mean, you expect games you expect the game to have more voice acting. I just wish there was more voice acting as a thing. But the music is great. The music has that 1930s charm and feel to it, like with like the violin. It has like this violin playing, and it feels like you're in the It feels like you're watching one of those old 1930 horror movies like Dracula and stuff like that, and Frankenstein. Where it's got that violin that plays quite a bit throughout the game. But I don't mind it because the tune is. It's a great tune. It's not ear raping like I was with Ghostbusters on the NES or so, like that, where it played over and over and stuff, or like Hong Kong '97, or the games that James Wolfe mentioned there. So credit goes to him. But still, like, yeah, the music is great. I mean, like, especially with the action going on and stuff, the music starts to kick up there too. So I'm just saying there, yeah, it's good. It's good music, good sound. Wish there was more voice setting to it. Is what I'm trying to say. Now let's get into the meat of this review, the gameplay. And the gameplay here, it's a great game, but there are some complaints I have that I gotta talk about. But for the most part here, yeah, let's talk about here. Now, when you first play this game, you'll probably think, oh, this game is a ripoff of Resident Evil or Silent Hill 3, or like or it's just like Haunting Ground, but a 1930s setting. Let me tell you something here. That's not the case there. Sure, like you have a dog with you named Brown that's like your sidekick or so, but Brown is not like Huey from Haunting Ground. Brown helps you find items and such, and he helps you with routing from point A to point B. Sure, once you find Brown, the game is a cakewalk and stuff, but still, it's not a rip off or any way possible and stuff. And yet then again, some people were calling Haunting Ground Clock Tower 3 a Resident Evil rip-off, and that wasn't the case at all. So yeah, I'm just saying there that there are people who claim this game rips off a lot of different games. That's not the case there at all. This was the thing around this time, and they wanted to do it there. And like, the game actually does have a realistic feel to it. Just like you don't carry any guns or anything like that. You have melee items like forks and knives and stuff like that, or you can find an axe or a hammer. So it goes for the more realistic approach there and stuff with that, especially like with the setting you're in too and stuff. And like basically the thing is like to try and like just you're trying to get into the aristocrats and stuff and trying to play their games to try and like find out what's going on and everything, trying to find out what happened with Jennifer's life and stuff. It just keeps you on your feet the whole time trying to figure out what to do. Like you gotta get a butterfly, or you gotta like get like a teddy bear or a doll or so like that. Just gotta do all that stuff. And the aristocrats are mean to Jennifer, and you don't know why they're mean. Like there is one girl aristocrat who's sick in bed a lot. Her name's Wendy. She's like the nice one stuff, and she's basically like just there. She's sick in bed, and Wendy's there for you and stuff. And like the aristocrats are just gonna tell you all certain things you have to do and stuff, and all that stuff, and just pretty. It's a dark game. It's a very dark game. It pretty much it's not just horror scary wise. It's horror emotionally and sad, because poor Jennifer's gotta go through all that stuff and such, and yet she's treated like a dog, where like they spit on her. They pour water on her, they bury her and take her up to the airship and stuff. It's just, Jennifer just goes through so much stuff, and yet she doesn't really talk much. I will admit, I did not like at first how Jennifer didn't talk much, but then again, I can see why she doesn't talk much. It's until like near the end. It's because she's a scared, vulnerable girl who's and stuff, and it kind of fits it there, because like when you're vulnerable, when you're scared, you're gonna have a hard time talking and stand up for yourself, and that's what they did there. It's just, yeah, it's a pretty dark game there. Stuff keeps you on your feet there. But now I gotta talk about the negatives, some of the negatives here and stuff like that. It's like, first off, the melee combat with the weapons and the enemies. It's just, it's not that good. It's hard to aim your weapons, especially when you have like a fork or a knife or so. It's just kind of a problem. It's also kind of like that Jennifer moves a little too slowly. Like I understand trying to go for a realistic approach, but still there are times where she moves too slow. I mean, she doesn't walk or any of that. She runs, but it's like it's hard to stop, definitely, and yet. And of course, like some of the areas in the game look the same, so it's kind of like you're going around in circles, especially if you don't have the map. But like some people are gonna find this may find this a little turnoff, but it's not really a big turnoff. So it's just that like some of these things could have been fleshed out there. And it has two endings in the game too, like a good ending and a bad ending, which I will not tell you how to get because I'm not gonna spoil it. I mean that's what it is there. I mean, like the game was also had a limited number of copies to copies sold instead of published, and that's one of the main reasons why it's expensive, and because it was one of the last games made for all the controversy it caused. Rule of Rose it's just very expensive. Like you'll be spending like over $600 and stuff for it, but believe me, it is worth it, because like I know there was another survival horror game that was pretty long and hard. That was pretty long and hard to find called Quan, which is pretty much about the same price, but I prefer Rule of Rose more. Quan, whatever we call it, just didn't really interest me. But like, yeah, I mean, it's a dark game with a likable character, and you feel the emotions that Jennifer goes through, and just that's what it is. I mean, you feel the emotion you go through, and especially with that one scene I talked about. It can make you cry the first time seeing it. I know when I first saw that scene, I cried. I mean, it made a lot of people cry too, because how emotional it is and stuff, and how how deep and dark it is too. So I'm just saying there. I'm not gonna tell you what it was, but still. I know like this game did not get that good reviews. Like GameSpot gave it a 6 out of 10, and IGN gave it a 4.9, which I think is way too low of a score. And like a lot of these people gave it average scores and low scores, which I don't understand why. It's one of my favorite survival horror games on the PlayStation 2 and survival horror video games in general. That's what it is there. So I recommend picking this up. So be sure it's gonna be very expensive. If you're someone who doesn't like to spend a lot of money, you are probably not gonna want to buy this. But believe me, I've had this game for years, and it's worth it. I mean, I got it around the time it was brand new and stuff, because I heard about like they didn't have many copies left over and stuff, because they didn't get many in at GameStop and stuff. So I ended up buying it, and I was glad I bought it because it was worth it, definitely, and it's definitely worth it. And I'm glad I bought it when I did, because if I would have bought it now, I would have been like, damn, I can't believe you spent all the money on the games like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad I bought it when I did, because the price went up. The price went up a lot compared to how it was back then and stuff, back in 2006. And that's pretty much all I gotta say about this. So my final thoughts here are, if you like survival horror games, if you like horror games in general, or want an emotional horror game, Rule of Rose is the way to go, definitely. It's definitely worth having in your collection there. It's expensive now to buy it. To buy these days, it's expensive on Amazon, eBay, and if you go to a local disc store, it'll also be pretty pricey as well. But believe me when I say it's worth it. Don't listen to what the critics say, because this game is great. It's not the best game ever, but still a great game, definitely. Due to the complaints I have with this game, I'm only going to take some points off there. I'm going to give Rule of Rose a 9 out of 10. It's a great game, fantastic game to have into your collection, and I tell you right now, and even though it's expensive, nowadays the game is worth it in having your collection. Is what I gotta say there. And that's it for episode 151, part 1 of 1. Like I said before, this isn't going to be a thing where two single-part reviews are going to be two good games or two bad games back to back. It's just that this was a special episode because we're in the month of Halloween, and I want to do some Halloween-themed games here, and that's why I did this here. So yeah, like we're rocking and rolling here with these Halloween reviews here and stuff, and there's more to come. Well, what will be next? Will it be a multi-part review? Will it be a single-part review? What will come next? Which you have to find out. If you like what you see here, subscribe, like the video, comment down below. Join my Discord group, TTBurger Gamers United, because always looking for more people to join. The link is in the description below, and it's a permanent link that won't go away for 24 hours, because I was able to fix that weeks ago, and I've been saying that in most of my videos still. Like, link in the description below. Join and stuff like that, and meet the people, because the group is growing bigger and bigger each day. And I do plan on making a Facebook group in the future, so be on the lookout for that. Which all I gotta say is Tony, peace and out, have a great day, and see you all in episode 152.